My beloved Madridistas, everywhere in the world, welcome back to Madrid. Welcome back to Concha Espina. Welcome back to the channel. I thought it'd be a good idea to just catch up on some of the news and some of the rumors over the last couple of days that I think you guys may have come across. I just wanted to kind of give you guys my view on all of this. We'll talk briefly about the Carlo Ancelotti interview about the Club World Cup that created so much chaos in the press. We'll talk about Rodrigo and some of the interest that apparently other clubs are showing for him. In the opposite direction, we'll talk about Florian Wirtz because there's a word in the press that Real Madrid has a sort of pre-agreement. I'll explain to you how that works to bring him in 2025. We'll talk briefly about Vini. And then at the end, I'm saving the best for last because you guys are going to laugh. I don't know if this is like Barca Gate 3 or 300, but Transfermarkt, which you guys may be familiar with, it's kind of a big database relating to football. They released their new valuations, transfer valuations for players, and it is unbelievable. You're not going to believe some of the numbers that they're suggesting Barca players are worth. It's unbelievable. But I'll save that for last. But thanks for joining me again. Let's catch up on all this stuff. Let's get started. All right, Madridistas, welcome back. Let's catch up on some of the events of the last 2-3 days. Okay, let's talk firstly about the FIFA Club World Cup, which is taking place next summer. I'm sure you guys have all heard about this. It's sort of a new format that FIFA is organizing. The understanding from, everybody understood the clubs would get about 50 million to participate, and then additional bonuses depending on kind of where they ended up in the tournament. But Carlo Ancelotti, in an interview to an Italian newspaper called Il Giornale, he, basically in the middle of that interview sort of said, look, 20 million is what Real Madrid would make in one match, not in a tournament. So, for clubs like Real Madrid and many other clubs, it's just not worth attending, so, we won't be showing up, something along those lines. And as you know, it became a really big deal. It was all over the press. And immediately, this is the kind of miscommunication that is very uncommon at Real Madrid. I've discussed with you guys how it's a very tight ship, and it's very unusual for something this sloppy to happen in terms of communication. But immediately Real Madrid came out with a sort of official communique saying, no, Real Madrid is very much looking forward to participating in the new tournament. And then subsequently, Ancelotti as well, made a statement in social media saying, my words were taken out of context. It's not what I meant, etc. So look, the takeaways are pretty straightforward. Real Madrid is definitely in, clearly, or the club wouldn't have made that statement. The amount is definitely going to be worth it. That much is clear. Otherwise, Real Madrid would not be committed as much as it is. And I have to say, I'm sort of, I'm not a fan of FIFA, but I do think that the new format is really enticing because it's a very, very original format, including clubs from all over the world. It is, when you get to the later stages, it's a sort of one match, sudden death type format, which makes it very exciting. So I think it's going to be really, really interesting. And I'm actually, glad that Real Madrid is participating. So anyway, I just wanted to comment on that because I'm sure you guys came across it. Now let's talk about Rodrigo. So there's been a lot of talk in the press that Man City is willing to offer up to 200 million for Rodrigo, that PSG would be willing to offer something similar. Now that's been in the press. Now obviously these are just rumors. To clarify, these situations are a little bit. Sometimes when there's smoke, there is fire. Sometimes there's smoke, but there's no fire. But pretty much every time that there is a fire, there is some smoke initially. Now, sometimes players are the ones that kind of leak these things out to sort of test the waters. Sometimes clubs leak them out to test the waters. And sometimes it's just the press, playing around with ideas. But look, I think, it's not completely implausible. Rodrigo has said he's very happy, but it's not completely implausible that he's a little bit worried about minutes next year with Kylian coming and with Enric coming. It's not impossible. Maybe he feels unloved. I mean, it's possible that he doesn't feel as appreciated as perhaps he thinks he should. All of these things are possible. I think the consensus at the club is that, Rodrigo is very, very much loved and respected and appreciated. He's been such a crucial player in such crucial moments, as you guys all know. So I know that the club wants him to stay, and I think, there's no argument there, and I'm sure we all want to see him stay. But, the position of the club historically in situations like this is, if a player is unhappy for whatever reason, either because they're not playing enough or they feel they should be making more money, the club has always taken a very similar stance, which is, look, we want you to stay. That's why you're here. But if you want to leave, we'll let you leave, but you just have to bring us an offer that makes sense. So, if you think historically, like variations of this situation have taken place. Think of Varane, think of Casemiro, Cristiano, Özil, Di Maria. I mean, these things are not uncommon, but the club stance is always, look, we don't want players here that are not happy. If you're not happy, we will let you go, but you have to bring us a decent offer. So let me put it this way: to sum up, my sort of bottom line here is, I don't think that this is going to happen. I think Rodrigo will stay, and I certainly hope that he does. But it's not impossible. I'll leave it at that. I don't know what the chances are, but I don't think it's completely impossible. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the Rodrigo rumors. And there's all sorts of other rumors flying around. Arsenal want Lunin and stuff like this, but that's sort of the major one, Rodrigo. And then the other one in the other direction is Florian Wirtz. Now, the rumor, according to the press, is that there is a sort of pre-agreement that Real Madrid will bring him next year in 2025 for 150 million euros. Now, it's obviously not official. This is sort of press speculation. Now, this is not impossible either, and it's not. And I think that the way these things are structured is, it's not a firm commitment to bring him next year at 150 million. I think it's an option to do so next summer. So I think very much like when you buy a stock, you can also buy an option to buy a stock. So you pay a small premium, you pay a small amount to have the option to do so, first right of refusal to do so next summer at 150 million. So I don't think it's impossible. I think it's quite possible that that's the case. Now, it will depend whether the club executes it or not. I think will depend on how the midfield looks next year, in terms of the health of the players, any potential departures, etc. But I don't think it's impossible. I actually took a bit of time to, I watched Florian play a few times this year, but I did take a bit of time before making this video to watch him more carefully and kind of looking at extended highlights, etc., to get a better feeling for his style of play. Now, this is a really, really good player, okay? I mean, this is a really, really good player. So he's excellent in transition. He has incredible vision. His passing is superb. He's very good in short spaces. He's very technical. He protects the ball very, very well, but he passes very, very well. He's very skillful. If you press him, he's very good at getting out of trouble, very good at protecting the ball. I mean, this is a very skillful player who also knows how to score, and who also, does a good job defending. He commits to defensive duties as well. So we're talking about a very, very complete player. This guy's 20 years old. The youngest player to ever debut for Bayer Leverkusen. He's the youngest player to score in the Bundesliga, the youngest player to get to 10 goals in the Bundesliga, and the youngest player to start for Germany. So, I mean, we're talking about a really, really talented player. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if this were true, but I don't think it's a firm commitment. I think it's structured as an option to transact next summer. That would be my best guess. Okay, let's move on to other subjects. Very quickly, just on Vini, and this is just a very quick one. You may remember that last year in La Liga, in the Valencia match in Mestalla, there were really horrible sort of racist chants against him. That 3 of those supporters have actually gone to jail. I mean, which is, I think it's a bit of a landmark situation in Spain, because a lot of the stuff that Vini has to put up with, there's been a lot of permissiveness in this regard in Spain, which has been, unlike other European countries that are much stricter about this stuff. But I think that this sets a very good precedent that the Spanish authorities and the federation and the legal system are going to take this stuff seriously. So I think we're catching up with the rest of Europe in this regard. And I think it's really good news and a great vindication for Vini. So, very, very happy for him. Okay, now let's move on to the most amusing part of this video. So I don't know if you guys are aware of something called Transfermarkt, okay? Like a lot of journalists, YouTubers kind of rely on the data. And it is a really great database. Fantastic. I mean, you can find all sorts of statistics and, historic and current. And it's a great database. But, they every year they update what they consider their transfer market value for players. And so they did it, 3-4 days ago, and you're just not going to believe some of these numbers. I mean, something smells really, really fishy here, okay? And I don't know what you guys think, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section, but some of this stuff is insane. So, okay, let's start with Courtois. Courtois, which is, I think he's ranked, I don't know, like 11 or something crazy in terms of market value, because they consider, in theory, they consider things like age, number of games played, matches played, the prospects in the future. It's a sort of fuzzy combination of factors. So Courtois is valued at 28 million, and he's not even in the top, 7 or 8 or 9. And Ter Stegen is valued at 28 million too. So, I mean, I think Ter Stegen's an excellent goalkeeper, but Courtois, I mean, I just don't know. I just don't understand how he's not the best in the world. And he's proven it. This guy's won 2 Champions Leagues recently, critically. Then, for example, Militao. Militao, his market value went down to 30, which, maybe is understandable because they also take into account whether you played recently, how many games last season. But, Araujo is valued at 70. So just think about it. Militao's 30, Araujo's 70. But it gets better. Rodrygo, who at the moment I think is the best center back in the world, he's valued at 25. Okay, I guess because he's not young, but 25. So the best center back, who literally won his second Champions League now, he won one with Chelsea, has been incredible all season, 25 million. Christensen is worth apparently 40. I mean, Christensen is worth 40. Kubarsi, a kid that no one knew existed a few months ago, who has played 3 good matches, he's worth 30. But Rodrigo is worth 25. I don't know how the hell these people do it. Okay, Mendy, who Ancelotti has repeatedly described as the best defensive left back in the world. Alfonso, Davies might be a better offensive left back, but in terms of raw defending, in the left back position, I think Mendy is top 3 in the world. Okay, he is valued at 22 million. Now Balde in Barca is valued at 40. So Balde is almost twice as good as Mendy. And anyway, let's go on because it gets even better. Carvajal is 32 years old. That works against him. He's valued at 12 million euros. Joao Cancelo, who's 30, so we're talking about, pretty similar age difference. It's 2 years. It's not that much. Joao Cancelo is valued at 25. So Joao Cancelo is worth more than a right back that has won 6 Champions League. This is just, it's ridiculous. I have no idea how they come up with this, but I'm going to give you my theory as to why this is happening. Tchouaméni, Valverde, Camavinga. Okay, they're valued at 100, 120, and 100. Gavi, Pedri, and Frankie de Jong, 90, 80, 70. So not too far below. It's insane. Arda Güler is worth 30. And guess who else is worth 30? Fermin. Somebody explain that to me. Rodrigo is worth 110, and he's won, 2 Champions League. He's scored incredible critical goals in key. That he is a superstar. He can play at that level. Yamal, who is a wonderful young player, 90 million. So 110 and 90. That's not a very big difference. But Yamal is a young kid who, he's yet to do anything. Anyway. And the final example of how crazy this is, and I'm going to tell you why I think it's happening. Brahim apparently is worth 40. Brahim, who can set a match upside down in 5 minutes. Now, Ferran Torres is worth 30. And Joao Felix is worth 30. So not too far off. Brahim and Ferran and Joao Felix. I mean, if you can believe that. So listen, I obviously have my suspicions about this. I think if you're a club that is practically bankrupt and you're in desperate need of financing, the first thing you do is to inflate the value of your assets so that creditors will give you loans. This is very common in real estate, and I strongly suspect that something fishy is going on because these valuations make no sense. But anyway, you can check them out in the Transfermarkt website, but I just wanted to share how ludicrous this is, and it just smells of Barca somehow. Anyway, okay, I just wanted to give you guys an update. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll probably get back to you guys in a couple of days to give you my thoughts on the Euro, maybe tomorrow or Friday. But thanks for joining me as always. And as always, a la Madrid.